I want to tell you guys a story about how I nearly got unalive that night. It's all because I made a really big mistake. So back when I was in high school in 2020, I had no friend back then because I just joined and everything was brand new. Eventually, I found a dude. He was pretty chill. He was friendly, and I met him through video games. And we started to talk to each other more, and we became best friends. And months passed by. We noticed that we share this hobby of hopping on a scooter to go around the city to explore, to eat, to just chatting and explore the our hometown. And we did it for a few years until like 2 or 3 years later. It was as usual. The night was bright. The moon was round, was full, and I hit him up. Yo, bro, wanna go explore again? And he said yes. We went out. We had to some restaurant. To got some drinks, to got some food to eat, and after a while we got bored. And I told him that, do you want to go to the woods to explore some weird places? And for some reason, I thought that was a good idea. And he basically said yes. And I don't blame him because as a 17 years old boys with full of testosterone and adrenaline inside our body, we can't resist the urge. Then, he took me into the woods, and right in the middle of it, right in the middle of the wood, I saw a workshop, and it looks haunted. It looks so weird. And we both decided to stop, park our scooter on the side of the road, and I had in first. At first glance, I went around the complex, and nothing was suspicious. And I was looking through the a pile of wood, and some pile of iron, and a big ass construction site that looks pretty magnificent, to be honest. But then after like 5 minutes, I heard footsteps, and suddenly a voice shouted at me. It was a man, and he basically shouted, "Hey, stop right there! What are you doing?" And at that moment, there was two plans that happening in my head: Plan A and Plan B. Plan A is to just hop on the scooter and shout at my friend to run away as fast as possible. And Plan B is to fight back. But I choose neither of them. I froze. I just froze in the middle of the wood, and when he approaches, behind him was two or three other men that carries loaded slingshots and spears. Like, you heard that correctly. It was loaded slingshot and spears in the big 2022, and they pointed weapons at me, and they asked me a bunch of questions that what's my name, where am I came from, what is your intention here. And oh boy, I thought that I was cool. I thought that I was going to heaven to meet my grandparents, to meet my grandpa, and live a happy life with him up there. I thought I was gonna get on the life right there, right on the spot. But yeah, and I try to answer as much as possible of the questions. And surprisingly, it's a miracle, even more than a miracle. They smile and they want to shake my hands, and they greet me. And I was shocked. I mean, I was like, mate, you're trying to kill me, like you're trying to unalive me like 1 minute ago, and now you want to shake my hands. And I just smiled awkwardly, while my heart was beating like crazy. And we basically, solve it out, talk to each other, and then we say goodbye to each other. Like, they were pretty friendly after the questions. When I came to the scooter and looked at my friend's face, he was his face was like being turned to stone by Medusa. He's speechless. He can't even drive, bro. Like, we stood there for like 1 minute to get our mental state stable again, and then we drove back home immediately. We don't dare to do that ever again. And from this story, I felt that we should be more cautious with our surroundings. And because, I noticed that in my country and in, everywhere in the world, like, there are incidents where a person can avoid it really easily if they reduce their ego for a bit. I remember in Brisbane there was like a stabbing incident where two drunk men were like, arguing with each other, and one other man holds the thing, and the other man, I mean, he could just run away right there, but no, his ego told him to, argue with the other guys until he basically won the argument. And guess what? He did not only not won the argument, but he got that thing in his neck, and the red substance came out, and he was lying down there in the pool. And when I saw that video, it was scary as fuck. Like, people could he could easily avoid that with action, but his action was not right. So from my story and from his story, I feel like we all should be careful. Like, sometimes we let ourselves way too loose, and we lost cautious, and we before we know it, we got into trouble. Maybe I'm a bit hallucinating here, but I just want everyone to stay safe out there. Okay, I love you guys so much, and I don't want anybody to get into dangerous situations. So, and yeah, stay safe, I guess. And thank you for watching and listening to my story. Uh, yeah, see you.